Hi, my name is Donna, and I'm one of the curriculum consultants for Rainbow Resource Center. And we are here today visiting with Ray and Charlene Notgrass of Notgrass Publishing. And welcome to both of you. Thanks for stopping by to visit with us today.
It's great.
It's so nice to have you here.
Our
Love your
pleasure.
products, and we just want to know more about you and your products, your company.
Well, thank you.
Great.
So could we just start out could you tell us a little bit about yourselves? Tell us your background.
Sure. Shall I start?
Sure.
We're a homeschooling family from Tennessee, and we started homeschooling here in Illinois in 1990 when Ray was here as a minister in Urbana. And in 1999, we decided to jump into a homeschooling company with both feet, saying, Lord, please take care of us. We don't know what we're doing. And we started writing history.
Oh, goodness. So what is the very first, what made you decide to start writing curriculum? You don't just, wake up one morning and say, I think I'll write a whole bunch of curriculum. What makes you decide to do that?
We grew up with history. My grandfather was a Civil War collector. He had every size ammunition that the Confederacy used. He's told me that he visited every battlefield in the country, and he had his collection in the foyer of his house. So there were pictures and ammunition, cannonballs. There was a floor-to-ceiling gun rack. It was all over the place. My father was in World War II, and so we grew up knowing his involvement there. My mother was from England. She met my dad when he was in England before D-Day, and they got married near the end of the war. And history is big in England, so we learned it from there. But I think probably a really big event for me in terms of teaching and writing history was my junior year in high school, when the best history teacher and the best American literature teacher combined forces. We called it team teaching. And they coordinated their classes. So when we were studying the colonial period, we were reading the Scarlet Letter and did that all the way through the year. And the American history teacher had us buy a little book of original sources, documents, that he would assign from time to time through the year. And so I think that was a big reason why I decided to major in history, got a master's in history. And then while I was in graduate school in history, I decided to go into ministry. And so I went to another college and got a master's in New Testament and went into ministry for a number of years. It was during that time that we began homeschooling. And as Charlene said, in '99 we started the company. And pretty soon I wanted to write an American history curriculum for high school. And what I wanted to do was kind of recreate what I had in high school and coordinate history and literature and use original sources and add in the Bible study element that I had learned in school and later studies. So I think that experience in high school and my training, I think it's all from the Lord. I think He was guiding us in that. So that's kind of my history background.
Yeah, I was hoping, I would like to share mine too. My dad never said, history's important, you ought to love it. But my dad, who got 4.5 days of vacation a year, took us to Fort Sumter, to Lincoln's birthplace, to Andrew Jackson's home, to the founding fort in Nashville. And he just made me enjoy it just by taking us places. Then I also had a fabulous American history teacher in high school. And then in college, I majored in political science. And again, I had one of those star teachers who just made me fascinated by, of all things, political science. So that really had an impact on how we reared our children. When we moved to Illinois, I thought, well, while we're living up north, who knows how long we're going to live up north? Let's go see some stuff. So the very first summer, we took the kids to Mount Rushmore, and the next year it was to Philadelphia. And then we just kept going and going and going until when our son was about 20, we made it to our 48th state, which was Florida, of all places. The first state lots of people go. But all along the way, we were doing history things. So history just is in us. I'm a descendant of the first man who was not a Native American to live in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's just in our blood to love history.
So real hands-on history. Oh, I think that's exciting. So when you got started, what was the first thing you decided to write?
Well, our first one was Exploring Tennessee. Now, I had written a Christian science and Bible curriculum and Draw to Learn the Book of Psalms, which I think Rainbow Resources sells. It's an art and Bible curriculum. But then when we decided, well, actually, it's mother asked us. She said, I wish somebody would write a Tennessee history. And so we decided to do that. And after we wrote that, Ray actually got an opportunity to teach adjunct at a university for 3 semesters. And so the basis of Exploring America were the notes he made to teach that college course.
Oh, my.
So after 22 years in ministry, that got me back into history. Another providential move, I believe.
You couldn't escape the history
Yeah.
part, could you?
No.
Well, so that was your first one. How many do you have now?
Okay, now we've completed 7 years, and Ray and I are committed to sticking with it until we have finished a history for each grade, 1
Okay.
through 12. So what we currently have for 1st through 4th grade, we have our Star Spangled Story, which is American history.
Brand new.
Brand new, yes. And then for 5th through 8th grade, we have America the Beautiful, which is American history, From Adam to Us, which is world history, and Uncle Sam and You, which is civics and citizenship. Then for high school,
We have Exploring World History, a year's survey, Exploring America, year's survey, and we have a half year of government, half year of economics.
And you mentioned earlier that you were taught a very certain way, combining literature with history, and you've done that with your curriculum as well,
Yeah.
correct?
Every course has that combination of the core subject with literature and original sources.
all the way down to the 1st through 4th grade. They all have primary sources and published in a book. Not a list of resources you ought to go look for, but actually published and coming in the package.
So when you talk about your curriculum, what worldview do you come from? I already know this, but I want you to tell everybody who will be watching this the worldview that you're presenting in your curriculum.
We are clearly Christian. We are unashamedly Christian. We believe that the message of Scripture, God's message for His world, is crucial. Proverbs 1:7 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge." And we believe if you don't make an understanding of God and His Word crucial, essential as a part of the curriculum, you've missed the first lesson. You know, the other information is good and helpful, but to know the why, where it came from, that's just who we are and what we try to convey in our curriculum.
This is your ministry.
Yeah, it is.
It is. And we portray it in a non-sectarian way. We are not pushing a denomination. We, as I've told mother after mother, our purpose is to say what the Bible says. If we've goofed up on that because we're human, please let us know and we'll fix it. It has never been our intention to push a certain dogma or doctrine other than what the Bible says. So that's what we've tried to do.
And it comes through very clearly
thank
when we read your books.
Thank you.
So what do you feel like sets your curriculum apart? Because we all know there are other history curriculums that come from a Christian perspective, what sets your curriculum apart?
I think the combination of subjects is really essential for what we're trying to do. The use of original documents, of course, the Christian perspective. It's accessible. It's readable. Many people have told us they enjoy reading. A lot of people have told us. A lot of parents have said, you know, I hated history when I was growing up, but now I love it. Because they've used the curriculum and found that it's interesting, it's engaging, because it's our story. You
And
know?
it's full of stories.
Yes.
Of people and places and events, and that's what history is.
We didn't want to write a textbook. You know, we wanted to write a history resource, a narrative.
Something people would want to read.
Yes. And tremendous pictures, illustrations from all over the world, full color, really attractive to the eye, that is attractive for the students to read.
And that's an educational decision that we've made, because not every child learns best from an auditory method. And we just believe that when a child is able to use both sides of the brain, looking at our books with, and we have actual books that you hold in your hand, and but every page has these there is one lesson in one book that is not illustrated. That is the lesson about Fannie J. Crosby. And we didn't illustrate it so that a child could have a little bit of an experience of what it's like not ever to see pictures, since Fannie J.
Sure.
Crosby was blind. So we recommend that they sit with their eyes closed and have their mother read that lesson aloud to them. So purposefully, that one doesn't have pictures, but all the rest of them do. And we just feel like they learn so much. We talk about what's in the pictures. They're not just put in there to be pretty. They are put in there to be pretty, but but that's not the only reason. They're put in there for what they teach. And we think it makes history really come alive if you're actually seeing a photograph of what we're talking about.
So
I think also our curriculum is easy to use.
Okay.
There's a section at the first of the curriculum on how to use the curriculum, and that sets it forth. And there's not a teacher's manual because you don't really need it. It's really self-explanatory. For high school especially, the student can just take it and go with it. He knows what to do every week, knows what to do every day. Very clearly laid out. And it's not complicated. It doesn't have to be.
you just have to remember to read how to use the book.
That's right.
Right. And I like that it is multi-subject. You can, in high school, use it only for history, if that is what you want to
Okay.
do. But you also can get a full credit of Bible and a full credit of English with Exploring America and Exploring World History. And then with Exploring Economics and Exploring Government, each of those offers a half credit of English because those are half-year courses. They are from a biblical point of view, but they don't specifically have a Bible credit in them, but the other high school courses do. All of the curriculum that we write, we recommend literature that goes with it. In 1st through 4th, they read 8 books. In 5th through 8th, they read 8 to 10. And in high school, 12 with the world and the American history.
So a good amount of reading and perfect for kids who like to read.
Right?
But the stories that are in there are easier to read because they're stories.
Exactly.
And so lesson length isn't an issue, and even an older child could sit down and read it.
Absolutely.
the text
Yeah,
and
I
the
mean,
book
we've
writes
even heard of grandparents who sit and read them when they come over to visit their children. We've heard that more than once, that my parents love to read your book.
They're full of interesting stories.
Well, thank you.
We enjoy looking at them, and the pictures are beautiful. So
Well, thank
I
you.
don't think I think you did what you set out to do.
Well, good.
And you mentioned, so this is literature and this is Bible, and that you don't have to do like the literature and the writing if you don't want to, if you want it just for the history. But the Bible is woven in there.
It is woven all the way. If you're not working on a high school Bible credit, then you will get a lot of Bible simply from reading the curriculum. If you're working on Bible credit, we do have Bible assignments. So if you were not getting a Bible credit, you just would not necessarily do the Bible assignments. And about the literature, it is an English course and not only literature,
Right.
because we do provide literary analysis of the books that they read, but we also have a project for the students to complete every week if they're working on the English credit. And those are, we always have a choice of 2 essays. You choose one or the other, or you can choose a project that is not writing. It might be doing a short video or creating a poster or making a costume or something like that. Other kinds of projects are assigned as choices. And that word choice is very important in Notgrass curriculum. We trust the parents to know what's best for their child. So if a parent calls us and they say, I really love your Exploring World History, but these 12 books is just too much for my student. We tell them, you know what's best. You know, choose 6 of them. If you want us to help you, we'll help you. We have alternative literature suggestions that are easier listed on our website. This is just a good, solid English Bible and history course for many, many, many students. But if you need to modify it, then that's one of the beauties of homeschooling. We'll help you modify it if you want our help. We completely trust you.
Sure.
There
Good
is
multi-sensory.
such a thing as a literature-based curriculum,
Correct.
and I understand that, recognize that, respect that. Ours is a history-based curriculum with literature as kind of a parallel track, you know, so it interacts with the history, but if you're doing another English course, you know, wouldn't have to do that. I would hope that the student would read at least a couple of them, maybe as part of the history study, because they are really relevant and do enlighten what the history is talking about.
Well, and especially if it's an area in which they're interested.
Yeah.
Never hurts to do a little more reading. Now, you mentioned resources on your website. I don't think a lot of parents are aware of those. So what kind of things do you offer on your website?
Well, we offer checklists. Now, I mean, we don't think these are essential, but some moms find them very helpful. Others moms don't feel like they need them. You know, for some moms, it would be a burden to also do a checklist, but for other moms, that's very, very helpful. So we do have checklists on our website, if you were doing one of the high school courses, where you can just check off every assignment that we give. Very easy to use for moms who would like that. As I mentioned, we also have alternative literature titles. Moms will often say to me, well, my child has read a couple of these books. And the way I respond to that is, it's fine if you want to pick a different book. However, I'm a great advocate of using our literature if you can, because we put a lot of thought into what we choose. So take, for example, America the Beautiful for 5th through 8th grade. The student reads Blue Willow when they're studying the Great Depression.
Okay.
Well, in the curriculum, they're going to learn about programs that Franklin Roosevelt started. They're going to learn what it was like to live and work in a civilian conservation corps camp, and you know, that kind of thing in the curriculum. But if they read Blue Willow at the same time, they go through the Great Depression through the eyes of a little fictional little girl who lived through it. And you live with her in the car with her dad. And you go to the migrant labor camps while he's working. And you go to this little school for a while before you have to move on someplace else. And so even if you're not seeing it as English, just think of the history perspective you get from the literature. So it isn't essential, but it sure is a lot of fun.